So ahead of Richardson Hitchins' next fight against Oscar Duarte, I've just rewatched Richardson Hitchins versus Kambosos Jr. and I think I've forgotten how badly Hitchins beat Kambosos, right? Kambosos from the first sort of couple of rounds was trying to, land big shots, get the respect of Richardson Hitchins, which is what he needed to do, right? And he just couldn't do it. It was very easy for Richardson Hitchins to evade Kambosos' shots. He wasn't setting them up. He was, sloppy. He was trying to brawl. He was jumping in with shots. And Hitchins is just too good of a boxer to be falling for those sort of lame tricks. And he didn't. So by the third, fourth, fifth round, Richardson Hitchins had basically no respect for Kambosos, which did mean, in a way, Kambosos could actually land some shots. But it meant that Richardson Hitchins was starting to sit down on his shots and was hurting Kambosos a lot more than Kambosos was hurting Hitchins, right? Which meant Hitchins was starting to break Kambosos down to the head, ripping shots to the head, snapping his head back consistently. He was doing something really high level where he was exiting exchanges. And because Kambosos is not moving his head, he's not doing nothing, he's just shoving that jab in his face. Hitchins is just shoving that jab into the face of Kambosos, and each time he's doing it, he's snapping his head back badly. And sometimes he's like a double jab, and each jab's landing flush and clean, and just snapping the dude's head back. So, Kambosos really had no answers for Richardson Hitchins at all. And I think at the time I probably made a video about it because it would have been a fight that would have been on my radar because I'm a fan of Richardson Hitchins. But yeah, he had nothing for Kambosos Jr. at all. And it was a relatively easy fight for Richardson Hitchins. Probably the worst loss of Kambosos' career. Because, he really didn't even have moments against Kambosos, in my opinion. No, against Hitchins. Kambosos didn't really even have moments. Against Devin Haney, again, he didn't really have any moments either. Against Lomachenko would stand in the pocket a bit more, so Kambosos had more of a chance because he could throw more and maybe land something. But Lomachenko went to the body, softened him up and got him out of there. And Richardson Hitchins basically did the same thing. Went to the body well, lowered his hands, started ripping shots to the head, and then eventually went downstairs to a big shot to the body, and that was all she wrote for Kambosos. And you could see him, as Hitchins was landing those final big shots, and they were really starting to affect Kambosos. He was starting to wince, and you could see in his face he was grimacing. He was like, "Damn!" Like he's in pain, and you can't hide that, bro. You can have the best poker face in the world, but when a guy lands clean shots to your liver, your body shuts down. You can have the best poker face in the world, but when a guy lands flush on your chin and it's a shot you don't see, you can go out. So and there were guys saying, "Well, Kambosos doesn't like it to the body." Who the hell does? Who likes getting hit to the body? Do you know what I mean? I know when people say that, like, he doesn't take body shots well. Who does? Who likes getting hit to the body, bro? Like, the aim of the game is hit and not gets hit. You shouldn't be good at taking a shot anywhere. You shouldn't be taking shots, right? If you're a high level guy, but. Yeah, man, it was a huge win for Richardson Hitchins, and probably, even though it was a very dominant win, it was probably a win that helped put Richardson Hitchins on the map. Even though he was already a world champion, he beat Liam Paro before that. But Kambosos is a big name. Kambosos is known as the guy who beat Teofimo Lopez. So he still has a bit of name value. I think at this point, that name value is pretty much gone because, yeah, he beat Teofimo, and then since he was established at that sort of level, he beat none of the other big names. Didn't beat Lomachenko, dominated by Devin Haney, dominated by Richardson Hitchins as well. And like I said, obviously dominated by Lomachenko. But it was a really good fight. I rewatched it again. And again, I'm just a masterclass from Richardson Hitchins. And again, these are the type of fights that I'm going to want to rewatch because I will learn something from guys like Richardson Hitchins because they're so good. So, it helps me with my training. Obviously, I'm not fighting on the level of these guys, obviously. But, big win for Richardson Hitchins, and of course, this sets him up for his fight against Oscar Duarte, and I will be making a separate video about that. But again, this video might even drop after. It won't drop after that fight. But yeah, big win from Richardson Hitchins there, and I'll make a separate video about him and his fight against Duarte. Let me know what you guys think of Hitchins v Kambosos in the comments below. Another episode of the Seth Solo Side Quest in the bag, and I'm out. Peace.